Welcome everyone to Novi Sad, Serbia for this FIVB 2017 World League matchup between the United States of America and the hosts Serbia. In the first match of the 2017 World League and the first volleyball internationally since the 2016 Olympic Games that concluded last summer in Rio de Janeiro. Hoping for an exciting start to the 2017 to 2020 Olympic quadrennial. I'm Rob St. Clair, pleased to be joining you here from Novi Sad, Serbia. Looking forward to this matchup between some historied rivals, that's for sure. Some of you might remember the 2015 World League semifinals. These two sides played an epic five-setter. The U.S. might have been robbed on a net violation call on Matt Anderson that we remember all the way back to. Serbia ended up finishing second in the World League last year, and they are the reigning World League champions, having won last year's event. Despite not going to the Olympic Games, they still managed to beat Brazil in the finals of last year's World League. The U.S. is coming off a bronze medal finish at the Olympic Games, defeating Russia in the bronze medal match after losing to Italy in the semifinals, who then went on to lose to gold medalist Brazil, the home side winning once again. There you see head coach John Spiral for the Americans getting his very, very young team. Many faces that will be new to you international volleyball fans that we're looking forward to meeting today out on the volleyball court. Two sides are ready for the presentation of the team's flags and the playing of the national anthems.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the FIVB World League. Match number 2 will be between United States of America and Serbia. Dame i gospodo, dobro večer, dobrodošli u Skersnovi sa utakmicu Svjetske lige između Sjedinjenih Američkih Država i Srbije. Na samom početku zamolićemo vas da svi zajedno ustanemo i pozdravimo timu Sjedinjenih Američkih Država. Please rise up for the national anthem of United States of America. Sada himna Srbije, Bože pravde.
Great crowd on hand here in Novi Sad, Serbia. As we take a look at the American roster, you'll notice no Matt Anderson, no Max Holt, no David Lee, no Aaron Russell, no Thomas Jeschke on this roster this weekend. Most of those players are taking the summer off, a couple due to injury, a couple just due to rest. They've all played long professional seasons and want to remain fresh for the latter half of the national team summer, going back into club season in the fall. With those absences of the names you may know and recognize, you'll get to see a lot of new players, especially for the American side here. Take a look at the Serbian lineup. These will be more names you recognize. You got your Juros Kovacevic, captain Nemanja Petric, setter Nikola Jovovic, star opposite Alexander Atanasijevic, middle blocker Marko Podraskanin, also middle blocker Sreko Lisinac. One notable absence is former captain middle blocker Dragan Stakovic, who's also taking the summer off and will be back in the national team. There is Coach Nikola Grbic, one of the all-time great setters in Yugoslavian volleyball history, who's taken over the reins of the head coaching position of the Serbian national volleyball team. Here we meet our officials, Mr. Andrej Zenovic of Russia and Mr. Juraj Mokri of Croatia. And now we have the starting lineups for the United States. We have number 3, Taylor Sander on the outside. Setter number 11, Micah Christensen out of University of Southern California. Number 13, Dan McDonald out of University of California, Irvine. Left-handed opposite veteran of the international scene, Carson Clark, number 15. Outside hitter number 17, TJ DeFalco, at only 20 years old, current college student at Long Beach State University. Watch out for this kid. Middle blocker number 20, David Smith. And one of the very best liberos in the world, number 22, Eric Shoji. You'll see the U.S. on the right side of your screen in their brand new red Adidas uniforms, switching over from Mizuno this year. And here we have the starting lineup for Serbia. You have the left-handed outside hitter, Juros Kovacevic, number 2. High-flying Marko Ivovic, number 8, also on the outside. Starting at opposite, very curious, number 16, Drazen Ljuburic, 23-year-old, 202-centimeter tall opposite. Number 18, middle blocker, Marko Podraskanin, veteran of the international scene. And one of the very best upcoming middle blockers in the world, number 20, Sreko Lisinac. Number 20. Number 9 is your setter, Nikola Jovovic, 25 years old. And your libero, number 17, Neven Majstorovic. A graphic incorrectly there has Dustin Watton listed as the libero for the U.S. It will indeed be Eric Shoji in the white off-color jersey. Teams are lining up, getting set to be ready to play. There's Dan McDonald, 6'7" middle blocker out of UC Irvine. Plays his professional club volleyball in France. Graphic there says TJ DeFalco's age is 30. That's incorrect. It is 20. This is a 20-year-old making his international debut for the U.S. senior national team this past year's National Player of the Year in the U.S. Collegiate Circuit, who plays for Long Beach State University. 6'5" outside hitter. Expect a lot from this kid in the near and distant future international career on the outside for the Americans. Like I said, with many of the big names that you're used to seeing for the U.S. taking the summer off or due to injury or rest or whatnot, John Spera has the interesting task of trying to get a lot of young names acquainted with the international level of competition, perhaps at the sacrifice of winning some volleyball matches. It'll be curious to see how the U.S. manages their lineups going throughout this tournament, from match to match and set to set even. We should be all set to get underway. TJ DeFalco for the first serve for the Americans, serving from right to left on your screen. Kovacevic has to scramble to keep that one in bounds. Ivovic sends over a free ball. And David Smith right away. First point going to the Americans. Micah Christensen doing a good job feeding the middle off the free ball. Good pass by Eric Shoji. And the 2016 and 2012 Olympian David Smith registers the put away. DeFalco back to the line once again. This is that one just out of bounds, and Serbia's on the board. Interesting transition for DeFalco to the national team level. They use a different volleyball, this blue and yellow Mikasa ball, than they do in college in the United States. They use a molten Flicitech red, white, and blue ball. Back here in the States, it's a very big adjustment for jump servers especially. We'll have to see how he handles it. Lisinac rips the service ace right off the bat. Excellent jump serve from the big middle blocker, number 20. Sreko Lisinac, 25 years of age, plays his club volleyball for Skra Bełchatów in Poland, one of the best club teams in the world. Misses that one just out of bounds, however. And entering the game is number 13, Dan McDonnell. Number 20, David Smith, back to serve. Struggled with his jump serve a lot last season. Looks like he's going for it again today. And a good serve right off the bat. Back set to Luburic, tips that ball. Smith keeps it in play. First look at Carson Clark, the left-hander, number 15 on the right side for the Americans. Michael Christensen getting involved early and often, hopefully for him. And he registers his first kill of the day. The first and only real left-handed presence the United States has had in the gym in quite a few years. Clark's been with the program a little while. Saw a lot of time in the World League in 2013 and 2014, but failed to make the Olympic roster in 2016. Graduated UC Irvine, where he won 2 national championships under his current national team head coach, John Spera. Excellent run by Serbia out of the pipe. That's Marko Ivovic flying in from the back row to make the kill. Good set choice by Nikola Jovovic. We're tied up at 3. Back to Carson Clark for the Americans. The opposite position without Matt Anderson is going to be a huge wild card for this tournament. Anderson not on the roster at all in the World League. There's no chance you will see him, so it is all about Carson Clark and BYU current student Ben Patch, number 14, who you may or may not see in this match. 6'8", 22-year-old, like I said, just finished his junior season at Brigham Young University in the Americas. However, will forego his senior season and turn professional. Here is Michael Christensen, running the offense for his 4th international season for the Americans. Great pass. And Uros Kovacevic on the left side tools the block of Carson Clark and scores the point for Serbia. So tricky to defend that left-hander on the outside, something you almost never see in the international scene. Dan McDonnell there is fooled by the middle blocker off the perfect pass. Uh-oh, yeah, we have an 8th serve there by Kovacevic, the float serve. Getting the best of Taylor Sander, DeFalco, Shoji, and the American passing unit. Very curious to see how that aforementioned passing unit for the Americans handles the serve reception at the top level of the international competition here. Good swing by Taylor Sander on the right side. The outside hitter hitting on the right side in one rotation. We call it rotation 1. Christensen very comfortable setting Sander the ball back there, and he sides it out to get himself back to the service line. Good high swing off the double block. Good serve by Sander, but very good pass by Kovacevic. Middle attack is dug. Awkward bump set by Christensen. That ball's kept alive. Luburic is blocked, but just out of bounds by DeFalco, and McDonnell unable to keep that block in play. Register the kill for number 16 in blue on your left. Marko Progression and number 18 back to serve, handled well by Taylor Sander. Immediately set on the pipe attack off the tape and dug. And Ivovic puts it away cross court off the transition opportunity. Good vision of the block and good setting by Nikola Jovovic, number 9 in blue. Not a bad block move by Dan McDonnell there by any means. Carson Clark, the opposite, might be floating too far past the antenna. Good pass by Shoji. And your first look at Dan McDonnell out of the middle. Excellent set by Michael Christensen there. There is John Spera with quite the formula of players and playing time and rest and all kinds of crazy business to deal with this U.S. national team this summer and throughout this Olympic quad. He's got a lot to worry about managing his roster effectively, balancing wins with rest and experience. Smart swing into the block by Ivanovic, restarting the point. Ljuberic is stuffed straight down by DeFalco and David Smith. TJ DeFalco registering his first point as an A1 international volleyball player for the Americans. Excellent block move by DeFalco and Smith. Carson Clark back to serve, the left-hander. Well, my mistake, that's Dan McDonald, misses his serve back into the net. And we've reached 8 points, and we've reached the first technical timeout. Technical timeout's happening when the first team reaches 8, when the first team reaches 16. In addition to that, each team gets 2 team timeouts to call whatever they please over the course of a set. And for those of you who are wondering, the challenge system is indeed in effect and throughout the World League. Teams get 2 challenges per set. If you win your challenge, you keep it. So if you're correct in all your challenges, you can challenge as much as you want. Number of areas that can be challenged does include ball in and out, touch on the net, center line, 10-foot line, and service line violations, as well as touch off the block. Only a matter of time before we see our first challenge.
Probajte da gledate samo sredinu paj. Svakako na kraju nećemo stići kad je lopta u tački 3. Okay.
Now, I don't speak Serbian, but I do hear Nikola Grbić mentioning the pipe attack, whether that's his team or defending it from the American side. Expect that to be a big factor as the match goes on. We saw one run of it by the Americans unsuccessfully and one successful run by Marko Ivanovic and the Serbians. Setter Nikola Jovovic back to the service line, 28 years of age. And TJ DeFalco, number 17, on the left side for the Americans, registering his first international kill through the block into the cross court. As I mentioned, DeFalco this past year's NCAA National Player of the Year. Here's Carson Clark back to serve, the left-handed opposite, capable of doing a lot of damage from the service line. And he misses that one into the middle of the net. Clark struggled with inconsistency throughout his international career. He's made a lot of World League rosters and been on the roster in some international matches, but hasn't perhaps done the most with his time he's seen on the court. Hitting percentage and service statistics haven't quite been where you want him for a big-time international opposite. But he's going to get a lot of playing time throughout this tournament. Just as I say that, he hits that one out of bounds over the top of the block. Perhaps had to reach for that one a little bit far on the back row set by Christensen. Nonetheless, a ball he should keep in bounds. Point for Serbia, leading 10-8 early on set 1. And Marko Ivanovic rips an ace between the 2 passes to the Americans. Outstanding work from the service line, number 8 in blue for Serbia. Looks like John Sparrow will use the timeout to talk over some serve-receive strategy. It's a great replay of this serve here. Ivanovic very capable of doing some serious damage to the service line. That's Taylor Sanders' ball. He's got to step in and pass that ball. That's not Eric Shoji's. The Americans need some better communication from their back row players regarding which seam the pass is going to take, to their left or to their right. I think that should have been Taylor Sanders' ball for sure. Interesting time out there. You notice Sparrow didn't say anything. You heard one of his players, not sure her, say, hey, he likes to cut after winning a real point. That referring to Ivanovic's serve strategy. If that player's scouting report is correct, you might expect a cut short jump serve here. A sensible choice coming out of a timeout, wanting to keep the ball in play. Micah Christensen in the front row here, Look for him to do some damage as an attacker, perhaps. Off-speed serve handled well by Shoji, and DeFalco uses the block out of bounds. Point to the Americans, 9 serving 11. DeFalco back to serve once again. Easy serve handled by Kovacevic there. Wow, what a high flyer Strelko Lisinac is, huh? Look at that off the net set by Nikola Jovovic. Look how high up in the air Lisinac is. Decent block put up by David Smith, but no chance of stopping that one. That serve perhaps a little too easy by DeFalco. And here goes Lisinac back to the service line. Had an ace his first time back. Overpass, handled by Podraskinen. And there's the pipe attack, like I mentioned again. Marko Ivovic flying in from the back row. No block up to stop him, and an easy put away. Serbia up 13-9 early on. Yep, you see both Sander and Smith biting on the middle attack, leaving no one up for Ivovic. Easy put away, excellent offense ran by the Serbians. All started from the good serve by Lisinac, causing an overpass and a free ball. Rolls that one in, handled poorly by DeFalco. High ball set over to Carson Clark. Good block touch, basically a free ball. Back to Ljubic, who taps it down the line for another point for Serbia, right in front of Eric Shoji. Excellent blocking work by the Serbians on the back row attack by Carson Clark. It's not about stuff blocking balls all the time. If you get a good block touch high in the middle of the court, that's as good as a free ball. And you should have basically all of your offensive options off of such a touch. Good example of it there by Serbia. Right in system, able to run whatever offense they wanted. Lisinac again. Sander high over the top of the block, and a touch is called. Serbians denying it, but the down referee had it all the way. Point serve back to the Americans. David Smith, middle blocker, once again back to the service line. Good serve, but an even better pass by Nikola Kovacevic. My goodness. Juros Kovacevic, excuse me. That ball pounded on the overpass by Taylor Sander. My goodness, what a put away. Saw Kovacevic have to fight off that tough serve by David Smith. That pass so high, so perfect that Jovovic might have had even too much time. Block covered right across the net. Perfectly laid up for Taylor Sander, who puts it away with authority. Smith again back to the service line. They're really working on Kovacevic, so it's part of a scouting report. Good block touch brought back by TJ DeFalco. Tough high ball set here by Christensen. And Taylor Sander puts it away. What a great scrambling transition point by the Americans. Excellent defensive rundown by TJ DeFalco, flicking it back with one hand. Christensen lobbing up something hittable, and Taylor Sander taking care of business on the offensive end. Really good block touch. DeFalco almost running out of room there. Those are the kind of points that are going to keep the Americans in this sort of match. If they can't be perfectly in system all the time, if they can't put a ton of service pressure on Serbia, it's going to be getting block touches and scrapping defensively and finding a way to transition some points. And you can expect a lot of that to come from Taylor Sander. At only 25 years old, already a veteran of the international scene. The 2014 World League Finals Most Valuable Player, won the U.S. 1 gold in that event. We've noticed the U.S. heavily working service-wise on Juros Kovacevic so far, who's handled it pretty well. We'll see if John Spera has the servers switch up their strategy on who to target going on throughout the match. (12 serving 14 set one here. The Americans taking on Serbia. I heard a touch on the block all the way from here. That ball caught out of bounds off the swing by Ljubic. I believe we will have a challenge by Nikola Grbic. Yes, indeed, we will. Oftentimes, it's easier to call those micro block touches like that by sound rather than by sight. We will, however, see it here on the super slow motion camera. Good first look at the challenge system employed all throughout the FIVB men's and women's side. Big fan of this system. Usually doesn't take particularly long, and the call is pretty much always gotten correctly. Yep, you see the touch off the 2 middle fingers there at Taylor Sander on the block. Point possession back to Serbia, and Serbia keeps its challenge. They still have 2 remaining for the set. As a coach, when it comes to challenging, you kind of have to trust your players to an extent. If they see a block touch or if they see a ball in that you may have not been able to see, you sometimes just have to gamble and trust that your players saw it correctly when it goes to challenge. Good set on the tight pass by Christensen, put away by Dan McDonnell in the middle. The U.S. hanging around within 2 points here of Serbia in set 1. Christensen's a front row player, and at 6'6" and fully ambidextrous, is very much an attacking threat. Able to draw the block there on Marko Pedrasky, leaving his middle hitter wide open for the put away. Interesting hybrid serve there by Christensen. Good block touch again, run down by DeFalco in the back row. Sent over to Taylor Sander, puts it away off the left side off the block touch. That's what I'm talking about. The U.S. is going to need to transition points like that. Off a great block touch, DeFalco brings it back into play, and Sander puts away the trash. Kovacevic can't quite handle that one, the cross court off the block touch. Christensen again, always curious to note his serving strategy. He's got a lot of tricks in his bag from the service line. Going with the float serve there. That looked like it might have hit the ground. No call as such, and Kovacevic uses the block and out of bounds, and we've reached the second technical timeout. Serbia leading 16-14.
Hey, it's Kovacevic. It's Kovacevic here, huh? Stand up quick. I'm waiting for some good passes by you. TJ.
Really interesting to see the dynamic in the timeout huddle for the Americans. You have all 3 coaches, John Speraw and his 2 assistants, plus all the players, spitting out lots of information to one another. Volleyball, a very mental, cerebral sort of game with lots of tendencies scouted upon the opposing hitters, lots of adjustments made in-game, and constant communication required to stay on the same page as one another. Good look into it there. There is Ivan Milkovic, Serbian legend of volleyball. In his prime, perhaps the very best player in the world, a long time opposite. Still playing professional club volleyball into his early 40s. Taking in the match here in Novi Sad, Serbia. A couple of his former teammates on this roster, including Coach Nikola Grbic, used to have the pleasure of setting him the ball. Out of the timeout, Carson Clark somehow keeps that ball alive. That could have been a lift. And there's the pipe again. Plus a net violation by the Americans. Serbia gets the point anyway. Grbic, head coach for Serbia, definitely complained about a potential lift call on the block coverage. But no matter. Kovacevic scores the point plus the net violation from the Americans. Kovacevic back to serve. 17 serving 14. Going with the jump serve here. And an ace off the tape through the passes. Another miscommunication about the seams. That could be a real theme here throughout this match. The U.S. has got to shore up that area of their game. Eric Shoji's got to take some charge. He knows that DeFalco's a very young player. Shoji's got to at least do something in communicating whose ball that is, whether it's his or DeFalco's. DeFalco made a move towards it, but never know. Serve receives all about communication.
Well, let's make sure. Listen, we know he's the 1, 2, and 3 seed, so you can pitch right too. You know, I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, you could. He doesn't hit the 4. That's the least amount of balls that go to 4, right?
Ready for the quick flow.
Yeah, that's right after the time.
Hey, hands up, body language up. We're going to side out. Let's go. 1, 2, 3.
Good input from all the players and coaches there. Speraw talking about Kovacevic's serving strategy, and backup libero Dustin Watton mentions that quite possible that Kovacevic could just go with a quick float serve out of the timeout. Was a method of keeping the ball in bounds and giving a little change of pace. We'll see what he goes with. Going back with the jump serve. Off the tape once again, handled by Sander. Set back to Sander. and tools the block out of bounds for a much-needed point for the Americans to hang around in this first set. Taylor Sander, at only 6'4", jumps absolutely out of the gym, capable of hitting off the top of and above blocks at all levels of international volleyball. Awkward tip situation, well covered. Ivovic is going to get a swing. Good high swing covered again, back to Luduric. And that's blocked off Dan McDonald and TJ DeFalco once again. Serbia had 2 or 3 good looks at the swing there. They were able to tip the ball into the block and keep it in play, give themselves another chance. But the American block prevails. Serbians disappointed that one hit the floor. Taylor Sander again back to the service line. Americans only down 2 here. Here's where they can make a push, and an ace serve. Cut short cross court. Excellent service strategy by Taylor Sander, working on Juraj Kovacevic from right to left. Oh yeah, he totally picked on Kovacevic, leaning to his left, having to make a late move to his right, and able to tuck that one inside the sideline. Surprised Gerbic doesn't call another timeout here, but has faith in his team siding out. We'll see what Taylor Sander dials up from the service line. Oh, and he puts that one to the top of the tape. Lucky break for Serbia. Now up 2 points versus the tie game. Every point in the rally scoring system is so critical. Every point scored is a 2-point swing, and when it comes down to the end of sets, every service error, every hitting error, every side out not converted could mean winning or losing a set. As Marko Pedraškin rips an ace down the line, working on Eric Shoji. Pedraškin, 29 years old, burst onto the scene when he was only 20 in the 2008 Olympic Games in Beijing. Always been an incredibly coordinated, athletic middle blocker, capable of doing some damage in the service line. Good pass there by DeFalco. Awkward tip shot picked up easily. Transition taken care of by Marko Ivovic, and Serbia stretches their lead out to 4. Ivovic, 26 years of age, number 8 in blue, only 194 centimeters tall, plays outside hitter, but jumps absolutely out of the gym. Well over 40 inches in vertical jump if you're an American system. Plays club for Aseka Resovia in Poland, as we see the kill off the right side by Carson Clark, the left-hander for the Americans. Pedraškin heads to the bench, replaced by libero Neven Majstorovic, number 17 in white, the off-color jersey for Serbia. Dan McDonald back to the service line for the Americans. And he misses that in the top of the tape as well. Serbia up 22-18. They could side out comfortably to a set 1 win here. Americans have got to side out and make a couple big pushes in their service rotations. As Jovovic here goes back to the line for Serbia, number 9 in blue. Plays his club volleyball in Milan in Italy. Float serve working on DeFalco, pass perfectly. Clark able to put that one away. Good touch off the block. That awkward set. Ivovic tips that ball on the block, keeps it alive. Pounds that ball absolutely sharp cross court. Excellent work finding the sideline by Ivovic. One thing I've noticed about the Serbian team so far, the pin hitters, when they're out of system, when they don't have a great chance, they're very adept at tipping the ball or popping the ball into the top of the block, covering it themselves or getting a teammate to covering it and getting another chance. And another 8 serve, splitting the serve receivers of the Americans. And the Serbians quickly have 6 set points here in set 1. Good float serve by Jovovic, picking on the seam between Sander and Shoji. And that again is Taylor Sander's ball. That ball's in by a good foot or so. He's got, and another service ace on Sander. Ends the set for Serbia. Jovovic with back-to-back float service aces, and Serbia takes the first set 25-18, much to the delight of the home crowd. My goodness, what a series of service reception mistakes by the Americans. Seriously got to clean up that area of their game going into the second set. 25-18 first set going to Serbia. We'll see if either team makes any lineup adjustments. See how long the leashes are for each of these players going into set 2 as we take you through some highlights from set 1. Be back in a moment. Good look at some numbers from the first set. You see those 4 aces for Serbia. No stuff blocks for Serbia, however. It's a 2 for the Americans. The U.S. has definitely got to step up their serve and service reception game. No aces to whatever number of service errors. Getting aced 4 times. Good look at David Smith there, number 20 in red. You'll notice the hearing aids that he wears. Smith suffered almost complete hearing loss as an infant and has been wearing hearing aids throughout his childhood and adult life, and even plays volleyball with them. Occasionally creates some communication issues on the floor, but he's able to sustain a very successful professional volleyball career, including appearing on 2 Olympic rosters. About to get underway here in set 2. Marko Ivovic starting it off from the service line. Tries to cut that one short and buries it at the top of the net. Point possession for the Americans. TJ DeFalco, the first server once again for the U.S. Off the tape, handled by Kovacevic. Good block touch in the middle. Kept alive by Majstorovic, well in the back row, and put away on the right side by Ljubić once again. Really good coverage of the block in the deep part of the court by Nevin Majstorovic. And Ljubić doing what an opposite's supposed to do, taking out the trash. When you have an awkward high ball opportunity, you throw it to your opposite and hope he can score some points for you. That's his job. Serve handled well by Sander. Nice connection on the back set to Dave Smith by Mike Christensen. Excellent running of the offense. Off the pass, pushed towards the left half of the court. Smith, whether or not he audibled that or whether that was a design play to go behind the center, very good connection with Mike Christensen. Puts that ball away. Easy serve by Smith, handled well and pounded out of the middle by Marko Podraskanin. That's just too easy. U.S. has got to put on a little more service pressure than that if they're going to hang around and win this match. Decent block up by the Americans there. Podraskanin still has time to see the block and turn it to his left. Taylor Sander misses that one just wide out of bounds. And a point on serve going to Serbia. Ljubić once again back to the service line. This is that one well out of bounds. Ljubić, 23 years of age, 202 centimeters tall, plays his club volleyball for JT Thunders in Japan. American center Christensen back to the line, 24 years of age, 6'6", has been running the offense for Civitanova in Italy, one of the top clubs in the world for a couple of years now. Misses that jump serve out of bounds in return. 4 serving 3 to Serbia early set number 2. Kovacevic going with the jump serve once again. Had some success in the last set, but puts that one right in the middle of the net. 3 consecutive service errors between the two teams. These are the parts of international volleyball that tend to get a little dull when teams just seem to be exchanging service errors. See if Taylor Sander can put one in play here. He can indeed. It's a bullet. Handled pretty well by Kovacevic. Back to Liburic, dug really well by Eric Shoji. Questionable contact. Oh, another questionable contact set by Serbia there. Covered off the block. Dug by Christensen off the middle. Carson Clark takes a swing and uses the top of the block and scores the point for the Americans. Good defense, good scrambling, good work by off-setters in that rally. Able to throw up high balls to their teammates without getting called for double contact somehow. And good look there at the put away off the top of the block by Carson Clark. Sander back to the line again, misses that one in the middle of the net, trying to cut it short. I like the thought. Of the cut short serve when once you've got a little bit of a rhythm back in the line, you hit a hard one, have the opposing receivers on their heels, you might want to cut one short, see if you can't sneak one in the floor in front of the serve receivers. Pedrashinin back to the line for Serbia. That looked like it might have been in. It was indeed called in by the linesman, but Sparad and the Americans will challenge. Shoji holding up the challenge sign C right away, and his coach John Sparad agreeing in kind. Let's see a look on the replay here. Boy, that is close. That looks into me on the replay. We'll have to see what the Hawkeye system has to say. Hawkeye, the same system used to determine ball in out in tennis. And some of you may have seen it in soccer to see if a ball crosses the goal line. Wow, that ball is just out of bounds in the Hawkeye system. Excellent challenge by John Sparad and the Americans. Perhaps hopeful, if anything, but a lucky one. They keep their challenge and score the point. Pedrashinin probably can't believe it. Dan McDonald nonetheless back to serve. See if the Americans can take advantage of the lucky break. Good pass by Kovacevic. Good dig by Christensen out of the pile. Oh, what a terrible mistake by Carson Clark. Wastes a good dig by Christensen by just blindly jumping into the net and committing a net violation. That was a silly, silly play. Good bailout dig by Micah Christensen, having pretty much no block up on that pipe attack. And there you see there Clark jumping as if Ivovic was going to hit that ball, which he never was, and committing a net violation on the bottom of the net. The FIVB switching back recently to where any touch of the net anywhere is considered a violation. As you see striker Lisinac putting away the overpass there for another point back to Serbia. They take the lead. Foot serve overpass by Taylor Sander right into the arms of striker Lisinac. Christensen's a back row player, so he cannot legally go up and attempt to block that ball. Free put away for Lisinac in Serbia. DeFalco's got to hit a better roll shot there. He hits that right to the libero, Majstorovic. Wow, excellent work keeping that alive by Ivovic, but the block of the Americans ends up scoring the point. Bailing out the poor attacking opportunity by DeFalco. Really good block move by DeFalco and Smith there. Very, very well done. Lisinac showing some athleticism, jumping over the bench there in pursuit of that ball, but can't keep it back in play. Carson Clark back to the line. Good serve. Good set. Oh, that ball's just blocked just out of bounds. I would have bet money on Jovovic flicking that ball to the outside to Liburic, but makes a good set against the grain all the way back to Ivovic. He's able to use the block out of bounds to reach the first technical timeout of set number 2. Serbia leading 8-7. Interesting to hear John Sparad has had assistant Matt Ferberg in there, changing up the service strategy a little bit. You notice a lot of the Americans working on Uros Kovacevic really heavily in the first set up to this point. Now they're noticing that the libero, Neven Majstorovic, might be a little weak to jump serves. So he gave his team that scouting report. We'll see if the Americans could have any success targeting number 17, the off-color jersey for Serbia. FIVB back to the service line once again. Dials up a big serve, handled well by Eric Shoji, and a great put away by Carson Clark. Excellent work by Shoji fighting off a tough serve, and Clark puts that one away through the block and down. Not sure how he managed to sneak that one around the big block of Streko Lisinac and Uros Kovacevic, but a point nonetheless. Tied 8-8. Early on set 2, TJ DeFalco back to serve for the Americans. Great serve working on Kovacevic to the right side. Everyone knew that set was going to Ljubic. Good pickup by Shoji. High ball set. Sander jumps a little too early and tips that one over the block right to the middle of the floor. FIVB unable to make the play in front of him. Man, how nice would it be to be able to hang in the air as long as Taylor Sander does here. Definitely jumps too early for the height of that set. But the block jumped early with him, and he's able to hang long enough to tip that ball over the block and into the middle of the floor. The U.S. takes the lead, 9-8. That's definitely a foot fault. Yep, called right away. Tori DeFalco stepping over the service line. Point possession back to Serbia. Good look at it there, his foot well over the service line. Streko Lisinac back to serve for Serbia. Overpass, good opportunity. Oh, another overpass. Wow, big mistake by Lisinac. Gets an overpass of his own serve and then gives the free ball right back to David Smith and the Americans. And Smith puts it away with ease. Lisinac knows he made a mistake there. Middle blockers not known for their stellar handling of the ball or playing left-back defense, but Lisinac knows he should have done better with that ball. David Smith back to serve. Serve handled by Majstorovic. Whoa, good dig in the back row by Smith off the Podrastin attack in the middle, and Jovovic goes right back at him, crushes that ball down to his left. No chance for Clark to make that defensive play. Love the repeat set choice by Jovovic. Good dig by Smith on the first one, right place at the right time. That ball sent back over, but no chance in defending that second one. Podrastin registers the put away. Ljubic back to the line. Misses that serve in the middle of the net. The Americans take a 1-point lead, 11-10. Michael Christensen back to the service line. Handled easily by Majstorovic. Wow, that ball is absolutely pounded down the line by Uros Kovacevic. Good luck finding a double-digit number of left-handers in the whole world that can make that swing from the left side. That is remarkable. Bad block move by Carson Clark. He bid on the 31 set there. Didn't put up much of an opposition to that. And Kovacevic definitely takes advantage. That ball crushed out of the middle by Dan McDonald. Almost kept alive and unable to bring that ball over the net between the antennas was Ljubic. Point possession back to the Americans. Mentioned Uros Kovacevic being a left-handed outside hitter. Very, very seldom seen. Almost all lefties you'll see on the right side. Carson Clark's a good example. Good serve by Sander. High ball set over to the right side by Majstorovic. Blocked out of bounds once again. Ljubic registers the point. Might be the third swing he's had just like that. Challenging the low part of the block but managing to get lucky out of bounds. Oh yeah, you see there DeFalco reaching with his left hand over to close the seam, but in between his hands. Perhaps if he goes up straight, that ball's stuff blocked straight down. Progression and misses that serve out of the bounds. Point possession back to the Americans. Dan McDonald back to the line. He misses that one into the net. Very poor service performance thus far by the Americans. Only the one ace by Taylor Sander, to my memory. And a multitude of service errors into the net or out of bounds. Nikola Jovovic, setter for Serbia, back to serve. Handled well by Sander. Good block touch. Serbia will get a chance off of this. Back to Ljubić. Dug in the back row by Shoji off the block touch once again. Pipe set to Sander. Is controlled somehow. Oh my goodness, and Kovacevic, too ambitious of a swing, buries it in the bottom of the net. Ljubić over by the wall on the right side of the playing arena uses every inch of his length to bring that one back into court. Probably a hittable ball, but Kovacevic with way too big of a swing puts it right in the bottom of the net. Bails out the Americans in a good defensive chance. Carson Clark back to the line. Easy serve. And Jovovic misses it out of bounds. Look at that. Amazing things happen when you serve in sometimes. Even if the serve is easy, there's always a chance that you'll make a play on the blocking end or your opponent will make an error. If you miss the serve, opponent gets the point right away, no questions asked. USA up 2 points, 1 point away from the second technical timeout. Clark working on Majstorovic again. Not a good dig, that's got to be controlled, kept on the American side. Awkward swing and stuff blocked by Micah Christensen. Excellent one-on-one block move by the American setter. Awkward looking swing, really having to reach back there was Ivovic. No, that's Ljubić, I believe, on the left side in rotation 1. Overran that ball in a big way, and Christensen makes a good adjustment with his hands and stuff blocks that ball, getting the Americans to the second technical timeout with a 2-point lead. 3-point lead, excuse me, up 16-13. Matt Furberger with good advice to his blockers, helping in on a pipe attack, trying to get as many blockers, 3 preferable, up on that attack. Also a good method of neutralizing the pipe attacker is serving him, making him work really hard to pass the ball and come back in transition, get ready to hit the ball. Good look at the adjustment. Micah Christensen jumping from out to in, adjusting to the shoulders and the awkward approach path of Ljubić there. Excellent eye work by the outside blocker Christensen. Blocking at the highest level done almost exclusively with the eyes. Critical to look at the hitter once the ball is set to understand where the hitter might be ready to hit the ball, including the timing. Good example by Christensen there. Carson Clark back to the line once again, see if he can keep this ball in play out of the timeout. He cannot, and point possession over to Serbia. 14 serving 16. Oh, interesting. I must have missed a substitution. Alexander Atanasijevic, the regular starting opposite, is in for Serbia, number 14 in blue. An absolute stud at only 25 years of age, plays his club volleyball in Perugia in Italy, one of the top club teams in the world. Expect him to have an immediate impact. TJ DeFalco unable to catch up to that quick set in time and misses it wide cross court. Serbia back within 1. Ivovic back to the line once again. Misses that serve just into the top of the net and bails out the Americans in a momentum sense just a little bit. DeFalco back to serve. Wow, another swing down the line by the left-hander, Uros Kovacevic. The right side blockers, both Clark and Christensen for the Americans, are going to have to make an adjustment on that, knowing he's capable of that kind of range. Christensen kind of getting fooled by the 31 once again, like we saw earlier, taking a half of a jump step inside, getting beat not all the way out to the line. Great set by Christensen there. DeFalco into the top of the tape, good chance here for Serbia. And Atanasijevic right into the match, puts it away off the edge of the block. Serbia squares it all up at 17. As I was saying on the blocking end for the right side blockers for the Americans, Christensen and Clark on Uros Kovacevic, the left-hander, have to make sure they get all the way out to the line, and they do so quickly. Kovacevic has a very, very quick arm swing and can beat the block if you're not there in time. Float serve working on Taylor Sander, back to Carson Clark, and he's stuffed straight down by Kovacevic and Pedrašinin. Serbia takes the lead 18-17. And to try to negate the run, the Americans and John Sporrell call timeout.
I like what we're doing from the service line. Serving blocks real good. Just keep passing the ball. Get back inside out. Back inside out. Right here. Let's go.
I really like Sporrell's approach to this young roster right now. He's not trying to overcoach him during timeouts. He's not trying to overcoach the lineups. He's really giving these guys a long leash, kind of letting them go out there and figure it out on their own, which is going to only breed better things when it comes to later in the World League and later in the Olympic quad, developing some of these young players. Give them in-game experience, let them figure out how to get out of runs, score some points on their own, without trying to bark words down their throat and make them understand everything you're trying to say. Tight set by Christensen, handled by Sander off the block. Another swing coming for Clark, and he puts it away through the block somehow. Lucky swing for Carson Clark. Very fortunate point registered to the Americans. Just finding a seam between Lisinac and Kovacevic there, it appeared. Here goes David Smith back to the service line. He's had a good day from the service line. Like I mentioned, he struggled a lot with his jump serve last year. Had to go to a float on occasion, but looks like he's worked on it in the offseason. Trying to do some damage here, get his team up. Going into the later stages of set two. Good rip from the line once again, only two options. Kovacevic nowhere to be found. That ball hits the floor. That's bad break for the Americans. That ball should definitely come up. You might think that if Eric Shoji's in there in the libero spot, that ball comes off the floor. Smart tip by Kovacevic, unable to catch up to the low set after being served. And Mikey Christensen, you notice, pulled his hands down on the block. Not a bad idea. He's not trying to give Kovacevic an easy target to tool. But you never know. Might be a thing you want to communicate to your teammates. Atanasijevic is first looking back at the service line, dials up a good one. Handled really well by DeFalco. And Taylor Sander off the block and out of bounds. Excellent passing by the 20-year-old TJ DeFalco, number 17 in red. See if Michael Christensen can do some damage here. Goes to the float serve, handled easily by Ivovic. Atanasijevic unloads, dug off the chest by Eric Shoji. Dug again by Shoji in the cross court off of Kovacevic. Clark tips that one to even up. Tight pass. Handled again by Shoji. 3 digs in this rally. And put away cross court by Taylor Sander. Give that point to libero Eric Shoji for the Americans. Excellent defensive positioning in exactly the right spot to pick up all 3 of those balls. Taylor Sander finally takes out the trash, puts it away against the single block. And Serbia will call timeout after the momentum switch at that point goes the Americans' way. 20 serving 19.
Taktika nema veze. Taktika nema veze. Ne rade ništa nešto drugačije od onoga što mi smo pripremili, pošto nismo pripremili ništa. Igraju sa dvojicom igrača. Pomenene lopte dalje od mreže, smečiraju ljudi visoke lopte u naš blok. Ljudi, namestite se nogama i tu gde ste, prebacite ruke ispred sebe. Daj!
Out of the timeout here, 20 serving 19. Micah Christensen again back to the service line. Went with the float last time. Goes to the jump serve off the tape, handled by Ivovic. Good block touch by Taylor Sander, but goes too deep to be handled by either Shoji or DeFalco. Give the point to Alexander Atanasievich. Serbia ties the matchup, ties the setup at 20. Atanasievich, no stranger to getting the crowd involved. I like this substitution by John Spera. He's inserting outside hitter Garrett Magatutia, number 18 in red, in for Carson Clark for rotation 1 when the opposite is trapped on the left side. If you struggle in that rotation, might as well just put an outside hitter out there in for him for that 1 point. And Magatutia steps right in, passes that ball. Gives Micah Christensen a chance to set the middle, and they side him out of it right away. Excellent coaching, excellent substitution by John Spera. Something I wish a lot more teams would do who struggle in rotation 1. Taylor Sander back to the service line. USA up 1, 4 points to go to take the second set. That's a lot of pressure on. Know this ball's going to the right side. Atanasievich just gets the touch off the block. The up ref had it the whole way. I didn't see it from here. But our up official, Andrej Zenovic, had the best look at it. Point possession back to Serbia. Washington back to the line, wasting no time putting that ball in play. Off the tape, had to be handled by Christensen. DeFalco tips off the top of the block. And that ball is hit out of bounds. No, it's not. Another touch detected off the top of the block by Ivovic. He had a long way to go between picking up that tip in the middle of the court, transitioning all the way to the outside, but is able to get there, and Jovovic feeds him the ball. I think DeFalco's got to do a little bit more with that tip shot. Handled a little bit too easily by Serbia, and they're able to transition it into a point. 2 points in a row by Serbia prompts the U.S. to call a timeout.
Take it to him. Go high flat, trust yourself.
Spera giving him that exact same constructive criticism. Don't be afraid. Don't care if you're 20 years old. Just get up and rip the ball. Try to hit high hands. Try to use the outside edges of the block. Just tipping the ball doesn't seem to have worked so far against this Serbian team. Gonna have to put a little muscle behind it. Kudashin again misses that one in the net. Give that point to John Spera. We like to call those coaches' points when you call a timeout and the opposing player immediately misses their serve. Kavika Shoji, the backup setter and the captain of this American squad, in to serve. Serving for Dan McDonnell, I believe. Plays club with his younger brother Eric in Lokomotiv Novosibirsk in Russia. Very capable setter, was the National Player of the Year at Stanford University, but they won the championship back in 2012, I believe. And we've got some scoreboard issues resolved, and Shoji's ready to put the ball in play here. Working on Majstorovic, handled pretty well. That ball's put away well by Ivovic into the deep cross-court corner. Serbia leads 23-22. Shoji will be subbed out for Dan McDonnell, immediately replaced by Eric Shoji, the libero. Jovovic ended the last set with 2 straight float serve aces. Let's see if the Americans can side him out right away on this one. Working on DeFalco. Great one-handed set by Micah Christensen, put away by David Smith off the block. Ivovic perhaps complaining about an over or a net call or something like that, but Christensen at 6'6", very, very good athlete, able to get up and deliver a very good ball even with one hand to his middle blocker Smith, who puts it away. Big point there for the Americans. Carson Clark back to serve. Back to Ivovic again, a little bit underneath that ball. Good block touch, handled by Shovey. Big transition chance, and DeFalco puts it away off the edge of the block. The Americans will have a set point here. Big transition opportunity taken care of there by the Americans. We'll see what Carson Clark can do after the timeout, once again taken by Nikola Grbic. Lots of stoppages in play here, taken at the end of this second set. Good gamesmanship from both coaches. Trying to sway the momentum in their favor as much as possible. Volleyball, of course, such a momentum-heavy sport. These sets are played to 25, but you must win by 2. So even if Serbia wins this point, the Americans must, or either team must win a point off of side out and then an additional point off of their own serve to come 2 points clear and win the set. The U.S. would really like to get on the board right here at this very point off of Carson Clark's serve. Good rotation for the Americans. Good serve. Outside to Atanasievich, and he's stuffed straight down by Smith and Christensen. What a block move by those two American players, and the Americans take a set. They even the match up at 1-1. Love to see the replay of this. Really good serve pressure put on by Carson Clark. David Smith with an absolutely perfect move, closing up the seam, going straight up and over, clamps that ball down with his left hand, unable to be covered off the floor. The Americans scrape out a win in set number 2, even the match up. 25-23, set number 2. We will be right back with set number 3 from Novi Sad. Don't go anywhere.